Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. In 1975, Ian Douglas Smith, the then Prime Minister of Rhodesia, predicted that if there was black majority rule, blacks will be walking on sewage and think it normal. He meant that physically and metaphorically. This is a fundamental truth that has haunted Zimbabwe ever since the country's independence in 1980. One area where we have been walking on sewage and think it normal is in our governance. We have allowed both ZANU PF and the opposition to ride roughshod over our fundamental rights and freedoms. Until now, that they, the ZANU PF thugs and the opposition thugs, have made it look like that is normal. This video has been taking the rounds on social media. I think the main reason why it has appealed to so many Zimbabweans is the sheer arrogance of the ZANU PF ruling elite and their opposition sidekick. They really believe Zimbabwe is theirs, and they should divide it among themselves as they see fit. Just listen to this.
Hatidi kutongwa neanoda, toda kutongwa neakajaira. Hanti ndizvozvo. Kutonga kunoda akajaira. Saka muchatukwa mugotukwa mugonzi maenda ikoko muri kutsvaga mari. Alright, tomboti ndizvo asiri kuitsvaga ndiani. Because ari kuti uya hurumende ngaibve. Ari kuti ngaibve tipinde isusu kuti uite sei uwane mari. Saka isusu ro tibude pamari kuti upinde pamari. Zvinobuda. Saka aiwa ndakaudza vana musuno kuti musa poromiswe kuti hurumende ichauya ichakupfumisai. Muchiudzwa nemunhu akapfuma kare. Hakuna opposition leader anogara kumhiri kwaSamora kunoko. Vese vamunoona vari 27 vanokorera mapresident. Vese vane dzimba kupi? Uko. Vakaiita sei mariyo. Hakuna opposition leader asina plus. Vakawana kupi maplus iwa. Asi chavanogona ndechekuudza mamember kuti musatore maplus. Because kana ukatora plus uchazorima ukaguta, kana waguta usina hasha. Saka gara usina plus, uite hasha, utuke hurumende, uende unovhota, uende kudemonstration. Ndosaka iye munhu opposition aende kudemo, haadi kutemerwa mota yake nyowani. Haadi kutemwa nematombo because business rinozobroka. Anoda munhu ane hasha nenzara, waakaitisa nzara iye kuti enda pafront. Saka isusu dingindira redu tinopfuma nehurumende iripo. Zvepromise yekunzi mirirai yedu kuti mugopfuma aiwa izvo hatina shuwa nazvo. Hatidi kutongwa neanoda, toda kutongwa neakajaira. Hanti ndizvozvo. Kutonga kunoda akajaira. Ndosaka muchaona munyika mune runyararo kudai. Zvakaitika kuVenezuela uko. Vamadhuro vatorwa. Opposition leader anga aripo achibva anyora kuti right we are ready to take over. Zvakana Trump audiwe nevanhu. But ndo vaimufurira kuti itandarigwa. Paakuti matakura madhuro akatomhanya kudzoka munyika zvakanzi lead zvakanzi vanhu havakuda havakurespected chamboitonga tega. Handi mazvona. Saka ngatiite zvinhu zvinofambisa nyika yedu kumberi.
The argument is a simple one. MDC had the opportunity to stop ZANU PF, the ZANU PF dictatorship during the GNU of 2008 to 2013. They did nothing. Why? Because as soon as they joined the GNU, Mugabe quickly realized that as long as they allow some of these leaders to have a share of the spoils of power, they'll never want to implement reforms. And that is exactly what happened. We need to define what is it we expect those in public office to do. This is at the heart of why we are a failed state. The failure to define clearly what they are there to do. The term itself, public office, is clear. You are holding an office looking after public affairs. You have to look after public affairs in the interest of the public, not for your own personal benefit. The only way that can be guaranteed is that the public should have a meaningful say on who holds public office. That is straightforward enough. What we have had and what we have seen in Zimbabwe is a situation where ZANU PF, Mnangagwa, has rigged elections again and again and again, denying people a meaningful say in the governance of the country. Some people have treated the ZANU PF ruling elite and the opposition as criminals just there to benefit themselves. I think they are more than criminals. When somebody commits a crime, even murder, he will cause the suffering of the victim and maybe a handful of those around him, his friends or dependents, and that's it. What these ZANU PF ruling elite are doing is affecting a whole community, a whole nation, causing the suffering of hundreds of thousands of people. And sometimes the suffering stretches into generations. Zimbabwe is a failed state. I've said it so many times here. And the consequences of it are the economic meltdown that has left millions in abject poverty. Millions have been forced to leave the country to go into foreign lands as economic and or political refugees. Over 40,000 innocent Zimbabweans have been murdered since the country's independence for what one can only call political gain. This is no longer a crime. This is high treason. We are a failed state because we have failed to hold those committing high treason to account. ZANU PF has rigged the elections again and again and again, and we have never held them to account. When Mnangagwa rigged the 2023 elections, he committed high treason. He crossed the double red line. And yet we let him go free for the umpteenth time. Guess what? He is already gearing to rig the 2028 elections. And he has got in his pipeline plans to extend his own stay in power beyond 2028. He is illegitimate already. And already is thinking of extending his stay in power beyond even what the current term limit says. Nelson Chamisa and his triple C MDC banded mongooses committed high treason when they failed to implement even one token reform during the GNU, when they had the greatest opportunity to do so. We should not forget that the opposition was elected primarily to implement democratic changes to end the ZANU PF dictatorship. They failed to implement even one token reform. And since the 2008 to 2013 GNU debacle, they have conned people to participate in flawed elections, knowing fully well that ZANU PF was rigging, knowing fully well that by conning people to participate, they are giving ZANU PF legitimacy. They've soldiered on out of greed. This is what the gentleman is talking about. All the opposition leaders are living pretty. They are now enjoying the share of the spoils of power. The truth of the matter is, Zimbabwe is a failed state because we have failed to make it clear to those who commit high treason that there are consequences. We've gone after common criminals, and yet we have allowed those committing high treason go scot-free. This must change. If we want real change in Zimbabwe, we have got to send a clear message that those who commit high treason will not be allowed to continue to go scot-free. Think about it.